Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Acting with Asha. I'm so excited to be sharing this interview with you today. So my guest is a Lebanese American actress, model and activist, and she's been on you might have heard of it, a very small TV series called Orange is the New Black, a 4 times Emmy Award-winning show. She played Egyptian-born inmate Shani in season 7. It is the beautiful and talented Marie-Lou Nahhas. I am very excited to find out about your career journey. It sounds so interesting. Where did you grow up as a child? Where were you born? What was your life like?
I grew up in Beirut, Lebanon, and it was pretty wild because we had a lot of our childhood in the city, and then playing with the kids. We didn't really have so much time in front of television, and so it was always outside, and the weather really helped that. We moved to the States later on when I was 18.
Oh, when you were 18. Amazing. And do any acting at all when you were growing up?
I did in school, but in the school system, there wasn't really a lot of pushing towards the arts in general. Every time I got the opportunity to have a theater class or music, I would really enjoy it, be in it, but it wouldn't last because they weren't really... they wanted us to go into science and things that actually will provide a more safer future for us.
What did you imagine you'd be doing? Did you have a certain direction you were going in?
I would have a recorder actually in my room, and I would always make up stories and record them. But unfortunately, these recordings were a lot about the situations and in the political situations, and which weren't really great. So I would watch the news and then replay it and make up different guests and talk to them. And then I would go to school. So I would always imagine myself being the person I am, but at the same time, I wanted to be a doctor because it was the closest to a safer route, and I was good at it. So
that's amazing, because I find that usually when kids are young, they're, looking at superheroes or princesses. And so it's interesting that you had that kind of political interest from a younger age, which maybe actors don't really get until they've been in the industry a bit longer.
I must say it was a bit dark rather than fairy tales.
That's amazing though. Like, that's really advanced, like the kind of stories you want to tell. That I think that's quite amazing actually, but also obviously sad that you were surrounded by that. What kind of stories did you have?
It was, I think when I was 13, there was a series of different assassinations that were happening in the country. And then on the news, they would always be so fast in telling them. So I would imagine myself being the reporter and on site of these assassinations or explosions. And then on the other hand, now I remember it, I used to also imagine being on TV for different talent shows. There was a famous talent show, and I would wear the Christmas decoration and and act like I'm on the talent show as a performer. It wasn't a lot concentrated on just acting. It was performing in general and being wild and letting this energy out.
Wow. So what happened when you moved over when you were 18?
The reason why we moved was for me to go to school and to university to become a doctor. So the option to pursue arts was not so much in my consciousness. Yeah. So
was that your whole family that moved? And did you have brothers or sisters?
Yes, we all moved we immigrated together because my mom's family was in the States and we received the immigration papers, the green card. So we had to decide if we will stay here or we will move. So we moved.
How did you feel about that? Were you excited or, sad to be leaving people?
At first, I was sad, but I always had a bigger vision in my head as a child. So actually, when I was the one who took the decision because I'm the oldest. So my parents were like, you take the decision. Do you want us to go to the States or you want to stay here? And I told them, no, I want a new life. And I want to see what the other world that we see on TV sometimes. And we have an idea of it. I want to see how we can actually live it rather than just having an idea. So I was open for the challenge, but getting there was a bit shocking because we moved from Beirut, which is a busy city, and you see people all the time, and to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which is a suburb, and so everything was old, the houses, and not that old is not beautiful, but it was too rusty for the eye for us to like the idea that we thought the States is palm trees and big buildings like New York, and, so it was a shock until we got to know the culture of Pittsburgh, and I started getting into the film industry in Pittsburgh at first, and then decided to move to New York City.
Wow. So how did you go through with training as a doctor, or how did you make that transition into performing?
I finished my master's and didn't take the exam to go to med school because I just couldn't. There was a calling beyond myself, that the universe was sending signals, a lot of experiences that were showing me that this is not the route and I will actually fail at it if I take it. So there was a lot of things that were stopping me from taking that route and showing me that I should pursue what I'm supposed to be living for and my truth.
So how did your family take that?
At first, I didn't actually so much tell them. I used to live so much in my own world. So I used to make up plans and in my head and this word of mine that no one knew of until I started being vocal about it, because I used to go to sets in Pittsburgh and to work in the crew or extra. I used to live with my parents, so I had to tell them, yeah, I'm going for filming. And it didn't get further than that of explaining what is filming. But my father told me later on that, wow, we would see you so happy even if you're going at 5 a.m. And then when I had to drive you to your chemistry class, you would be miserable at 5 a.m. and 6 a.m. So he started seeing the difference of how his daughter is actually happier in that direction. Yeah. But my mom still was like, when I grabbed my luggage, I was like, okay, actually my bag, I didn't have so much luggage, and moved to New York. She thought I was just speaking about it and I'm not going to actually do it. And she was like, oh, really? You're doing it? And I was like, yeah.
Wow. So I just want to take it back. So you moved at 18, then you did your master's. What was that, 2 or 3 years? Or how old were you when you finished?
I moved to New York City when as soon as I finished my master's, 6 months after.
So how old were you then?
So 20. I'm so bad at math now. I'm on spot. 24. I lived for 5-6 years. Yeah, 24, 23, 24.
And how so these first jobs you started getting, how were you finding them? Like, did you start off as extras and you got to know people? Is that how it worked? Or did you start, how did the acting start for you?
I was first in the commercials and modeling business in Pittsburgh. And then I was like, you know what? I have a story to tell. I don't want to just pose for the camera. So I started pushing my modeling agent to put me in front of the camera as in action. She didn't really take me seriously, to be honest. So I started really pushing for it through meeting people. I had my first acting coach. I taught him French, and he taught me acting and theater. And then when I started doing extra work, I had the opportunity to have a featured role in Southpaw. And this is how I closely was able to communicate with the actors, learn about their journey, how they got there. And actually, that's how I met my manager through that job. And she really believed in me since day one, even though she hasn't seen my work. I didn't have so much work to show her, but I would say being really true to yourself. I didn't pretend that I know things. It's very important for actors to say that they need training to. And that's what really got me through, because I asked so many questions. I was curious, and I admitted that I need so much to learn, and I still need so much to learn. We always need so much to learn. So then I did a play that was in New York, one act play. It was a monologue for about an hour. And
wow. How was that? Had you done theatre before that? Was that
no?
Wow.
I learned through doing things, like I also learned the different techniques of acting through taking classes here and there, and learning by working towards it and working on projects. And I told the director, when he wanted me to do the role, I told him that I'm not trained enough. I admitted that I'm not ready, and I'm not trained enough at the time to do it. And he trained me for 6 months. And that training was intense, and he dug deep into my childhood, my subconsciousness, and until the character surfaced to the outside and I was able to play it.
That's incredible. That must have, that in that 6 months, you must have learned so much.
Yeah. It was intense.
And then can I ask you about Miss Lebanon? How did that come about? How old were you and how did that all come about?
In 2012.
Yeah.
Before I started my master's, so when I finished my undergrad, it was in my head, it was an easy gateway to the camera, and to see what it's like to work with a crew and be in front of the camera. And I told my parents, I'm gonna just go to the casting and see what happens. Then I had this whole experience. It was just at that, I think my life went in a whole different direction afterwards, especially that I had a car accident a week after Miss Lebanon. And
oh, wow.
It was, it was the most awakened life near-death experience. My life just went in a whole different direction outside of just beauty, I would say. Made me just live. I think for the longest time we would be stuck in a certain mentality or a certain belief that is not our own. So it made me really see what I believe in, and it would make you go back to your values as a child and the way you are as a child, because this is the most true moment in our life. And when we start having all the struggles and all the life experiences, our true essence starts to fade. We are in a constant way to get it back, I would say. And that was one way that led me to keep on working on myself to get back that inner child.
So do you think, obviously, when you went to New York, did you find that being a Lebanese actress, was it a benefit, or was there many roles that were coming up for you?
At first, when I was transitioning from Pittsburgh, I thought that it's going to be a negative thing, not to be Lebanese, but to be an ethnic person, because in Pittsburgh, I wasn't really getting work because I looked different and exotic, and But then when I moved to New York, I had experienced New York, so I was going back and forth to New York a lot until I made the final move. So I always felt like I belong in this cosmopolitan city, and being Lebanese, I thought was going to be to my advantage rather than limiting me from succeeding as an actor. So I went all in as ethnic, as exotic. I owned it. Not that I wouldn't want to learn other languages or learn other accents or have a range of characters I can play, but I didn't see the being Lebanese as a limitation at all.
It sounds like your attitude towards yourself has always been quite strong. Am I right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Which is like perfect for actors.
Yeah, it's very important to know your stand, because especially with because you're always in a constant battle with yourself, but also you're always dealing with other people and other people's opinions. So it's important to take them in, but also it's important to know where you stand all the time and to be grounded.
The Looming Tower, was that one of the roles that came next, or were there things in between that?
It was my first speaking role on TV. Yeah.
And was that a tough job to get? Did you go through a stage where you weren't really working, or did it come around quite quickly for you?
For the first 2 years, I was not working on professional sets and big TV in New York. I was more working on myself and getting myself in the room. and also I did that play, and I was training a lot and also working because life is hard in New York.
What was your side job? I love to know actor side jobs.
I worked at Brooklyn Winery, and we used to do weddings and events, and also the wine bar. So it was that was from Thursday to Sunday most of the time. I did some translations for National Geographic and some shoots here and there, but mainly I worked a lot in Brooklyn Winery, hospitality.
Like so many of us do. It's such a good industry.
You learn so much about hosting people in your house later, and like hosting events.
For sure, definitely. And so I want to move on to Orange is the New Black. How did that come around? And what an amazing credit to have.
Yeah. Before Orange, I was doing some short films, and all the characters I was playing were really deeply complicated but empowering women. So they really surfaced the being a woman in this on this planet and this life. So my career kind of took me in that direction. And I loved it because I found so much pleasure in taking on these challenging roles. When I saw the audition of Orange is the New Black, when I got the email, it really turned something inside of me. I was like, fuck yes, I want to. The show itself is powerful. It's revolutionary in so many ways. Playing an Arab character that is complex, that is not just linear, was a beautiful challenge. So I went into the audition room with that excitement and that strong belief that I'm going to get this part.
Were you nervous? And was there a lot to audition with? Like, how many scenes did you have to do?
I did 2. I was nervous, but I turned this nervousness and practicing the lines and the characters. So instead of sitting into being nervous, I would speak it out with the character voice and the scenes to let it out that way. I remember that I had an audition before, and they were at lunch. So it made me go to Orange audition quicker. And there was this adrenaline rush because I had to run in Times Square, the first office, into the casting office of Orange. And I had to pass by Macy's to take off my makeup because I noticed that in the email they had no makeup at all. So I took off my mascara and got a shirt and just put it on because I was not wearing a simple tank top. So there was this rush to change and go into the room.
That is so romantic. It's like a rom-com or something. That's a beautiful, I feel like all of us actors have been there where you're just dashing around and no one understands, but oh wow. Mm-hmm. And so when you got in the room, how did you feel the audition went?
So again, I was in the zone of I was really confident. And the casting director, I could feel this when you're on set and the director is literally giving you specific nuances to do. That's how we were working, and that felt very real. And I felt like there was a realness in this connection, and with the character. I think I was there for, I don't know how, time didn't have it was so exciting that time didn't really, I don't remember, but I think we did each scene twice, and that was it. And I spoke about myself in Arabic and in English, and it was very, very natural and spontaneous.
Wow. And had you met that casting director before?
No, it was my first time in their office.
That's amazing. Yeah. And so how long was it? Were there any recalls or anything, or was it they booked you straight away?
What is it? The different later, after?
Yeah. So after you did the first audition, was there another audition, or did you just get the call saying you were booked?
I got the offer.
Wow.
It was a Thursday. I got it on Monday with a new name for the character because they changed the character's ethnic background to fit my my background.
Amazing. And if I don't think we mentioned, it was Shani is the role that you play, obviously.
Yes.
And so how long was it before you actually got on set? And, how did that feel, first of all, getting that role? Because, that's probably the biggest role that you'd had up until then. And how was that? Did you celebrate, or did you tell anyone? Did you have to keep it a secret?
I was the moment of receiving this, and it's this feeling you kind of crave all the time. That's like when your stomach like. But I told my close friends and my family. That's it.
That must have been exciting.
Yeah.
How long till you were actually on set, and did you get all your scripts last minute, or did you have lots of time to prepare?
I was getting episode per episode.
Wow.
Actually, it was from September 7, which is my birthday. That was my first day on set. Until January 14, I think. Yeah.
Oh, lovely. So a nice few months of working. That's lovely.
Yeah.
And what was it like? Had you watched the show yourself before, or was it, something you had to catch up on?
I watched a couple episodes, actually, 3 days before getting the audition email. Like, it was really interesting for me because I told my friend I want to act as the Arab character in the show, and then 3 days later I got the audition. That was more reassurance that, like, what is going on? It's like the universe is sending me something. I just have to be present and receive it. So I'm gonna do my work and receive it.
Amazing.
So that's it. And then when I finished, and I didn't watch through filming. I think that would be interesting for actors to. It was a choice to not really get affected by the different characters. So I was like, since I haven't watched already, I'm just gonna be in the moment and play my character as is, and not have preconceived ideas of the different characters. So I'm gonna hold off watching the show and watch it when I wrap.
That's amazing. I think that's probably what I do as well. And how was it? So you didn't feel intimidated working with the other actors or anything? It just felt really comfortable. How was it on set for you?
At first, it was really, it's like a kid going to play, and there's these new things around the big studios and the big cameras, and really learning also the culture of being on such a set. It wasn't intimidation at all, and with time they were really welcoming also. So I didn't feel at all that it was welcoming for me not to be intimidated.
And where did you shoot? Was it in New York, or is it LA, or where did you shoot?
New York.
Oh, nice. And do you find that you get considered, being a New York-based actor, do you get considered for stuff in LA? Have you worked in LA as well, or is it mainly New York stuff?
I haven't really worked in LA, but I went to navigate the industry right after Orange. So when the show came out, so right before Corona.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That old Corona thing.
Yeah. And I was actually in Los Angeles last March when people started talking about the virus, and we were not sure if it's real or what's going on. And then we were like, oh, it's real. This is real.
We're nearly through it. So obviously Corona's halted things a lot, but do you have things coming up afterwards, or what's next for you once the world reopens?
I'm now producing work, so I'm in a pre-production phase for a lot of 2 films actually, and my focus is really shifted into navigating multiple industries in the world, and entering the European industry. Also speaking with a lot of talents in Beirut who are really talented, and they just need this push, this fresh energy, this fresh blood, who hasn't really lived all the past traumas in the country, to create together, because we do have a beautiful old culture. So there's a lot of stories dated before Christ, and also a lot of stories that could be told from this world, because there's in a small country there's a lot of multiple cultures, many voices. I'm really deviating a lot into not waiting for other people to hire us as actors, but to really manifest and create our own work.
100%. And so with that, do you have any advice for actors who either starting out or are just maybe having a dip, or what could you advise actors that you have learned from your experience?
To always be true to themselves. It's very, very important because we're really sensitive people and we take on people's energies and people's characters so easily. And that's what makes us actors. So it's really good to use this to our advantage and to not negatively be affected by all of this chaos that could be around us. Really have a good support system. It's very important to have people around you who truly believe in you as a human being and want your best.
Yeah, for sure. That's amazing advice, because also, you know, some people aren't always lucky enough to have such a supportive family.
Yeah.
But if you don't have that, there will be someone, you know, there will be your people out there. You just have to go
Exactly.
find them.
Exactly. Yeah. Like it doesn't have to be at all direct, a blood connection. But it's really important to cancel out all the negativity that is created by other people. And because sometimes we can be like, oh, no, it's okay. I don't get affected. I don't have to cancel this person out. It's fine. You know, we just see each other once in a while, but we truly don't see how much the negativity can affect us on a long term. So it is really, really important to be a bit selfish in a way and be strong towards our opinions and our I must say opinions is this, I don't really like this term, our feelings, to be true to our feelings and how other people make us feel. It can really affect us so much without us knowing.
100%. True, beautiful words and amazing advice. Marie-Lou, it's been so good having you chat. Just lastly, I want to ask, what has been your favorite moment of your career so far?
Orange is the New Black. The moment when the director and writer of the Shani's episode. It's all for all the audience out there who hasn't watched the show. I'm not going to spoil it. But for the fans, they will know which episode I'm talking about. Is a flashback. There was this moment when I finished the scene after the director told me, this is your last scene you're going to shoot. So this was his direction and he knew how to, and I love him dearly. He's part of so much beautiful things, Diego. And he told me, it's your last scene, give it your all. That was his direction. And when I finished and I go and I see the writer, Carolina, crying in front of the monitor.
Oh, incredible.
And everyone, it's rap. This really filled my heart and showed me how much the connection between the different people who are working on set, like the director, the writer, the actor, this connection that is built creates beautiful work. So it was a beautiful moment in my career.
What a beautiful moment to end us on. Thank you so much. We're looking forward. If you haven't seen Orange is the New Black, check it out. And thank you so much for coming. We look forward to seeing more of your work.
Thank you, Jade, and greetings to London, and I hope we meet soon.
Thank you. Yes, of course. Speak soon. Thank you for listening to another episode of Acting with Asha. For any questions, please get in touch with us at www.jadeashavoiceovers.com. Jade is also the author of Actorpreneur. To find out more information about Actorpreneur or buy yourself a copy, visit www.actorpreneurbook.com. And don't forget to subscribe or follow us at Jade Asha. Thanks again. Bye.